Hi everyone. So this is a quite interesting video that has been brought to my attention a little while ago. This was actually uploaded in mid-September, so less than 2 months into season 24, and actually around 2.5 months ago from this point. And this is a 7.5k Paragon wizard here, obviously not my own. And it was very curious to kind of like watch this thing kind of complete a run. So in case you're not aware, this is GR150 here. This is a bot, and this is doing everything on its own without any manual input. So kind of just interesting to see what the state of things are right now. I talked about the Paragon 20,000 reached lately. So obviously that was almost certainly done with some kind of help, be it from other people or be it from the bot. And it's no secret that there's a lot of cheating going on, especially towards the top of the leaderboards and especially towards the top of the Paragons. And this kind of makes sense in a game where performing at an efficient level is actually very doable for a machine, as you can see here. So this depends a bit on the build and the meta, of course. You know, some builds are simply much more bot friendly than others. Something like firebirds is probably like the prime botting build in terms of how easy it is to actually make such a thing. I guess I think God the Age was also super popular, and yeah, basically all the top builds basically get their own scripts at some point, as far as I'm aware. But it's actually quite funny to see like this thing actually like, you know, walk around, and you can see like the different like colors of, you know, this is probably like some movement, and then here it tries to attack, so they have like this orange, so it kind of like tries to find some pulls. It's actually very interesting to watch, especially because this thing also starts to recognize, you know, when a pull is not really worth fighting anymore, and it just moves on to try to get to like the next area where there's like a large pull it can make. So for example here it found this elite now, and it goes there, and you know, this is basically how you play firebirds, right? You go find the elite, burn it down, and sometimes you kill a bit of trash and you move on. So this thing actually does pretty much everything right. Obviously it doesn't do quite the same as a player, so this is 7.5k Paragon after all, and in season 24 we have seen like around 3k wizards or so clear 150, so this is a difference of like 4.5 to 5k Paragons or so, which is roughly double damage. So in the end, this bot can kind of barely do it. I guess we can see this like later, it's like kind of like catching up here and then eventually clearing the boss. I guess there was like some big pylon somewhere in the middle as well, as we might find here. There's actually a good map. So obviously it is not quite the best, but it's quite funny to see what this thing can do. On the other hand, I'm also not really sure what's going on with this health globe here. This is actually transparent for some reason. You can see that there's like, you know, the beam, you can see through it and the enemies. I don't think this is really normal, but I'm not sure how this works. Here's a Condi, so now it's like actually trying to blast down these packs here with the Condi. But here you can clearly see that this thing doesn't really have much of a strategy, so it kind of like goes pull by pull. And okay, this is firebirds where you don't really stack up many targets, but for example for Conduit, you would play around that a little bit more by maybe trying to gather another elite or two and then take the Condi and these kind of things. So this is like some of the reasons why this bot is so inefficient. In the end, you could actually find this clear on the leaderboard unless it has been overwritten, I'm not sure. I actually know the battle tag of this clear because we had a Apocryphus investigate and he actually found it. And even with like this hidden name, it was quite easy to find, of course, because there were not really many 150s back then. Apparently this was rank 310 by the time of the clear, which is 2.5 months ago. So there is actually a bit of a chance that this got kicked off the leaderboard or overwritten. But well, we still have the account so we can actually check. So and obviously, to put in a bit of like personal opinion here, this is total bullshit and this has to change. So we need more banways. I mean, this is pretty clear. We also just need like just more strict enforcement of the rules in general. Not just for Diablo 3, I guess we have similar issues in Diablo 2 and in D2R. This will probably also evolve over time yet again, just like in old D2 with like bots running rampant everywhere, farming stuff, selling stuff, whatever. It's going to be similar here, and I'm pretty sure that if Blizzard doesn't start stepping up their anti-cheating game a bit, it will also have an impact on the popularity of the Diablo series in general and, well, Diablo 4 sales. So this is probably something they want to avoid. In any case, I thought this was quite interesting here just to kind of like see what this thing actually does. I did see some like much more like crude scripts way back, like many years ago, that people were using, where it was also like just like, you know, highlighting kind of like what it does and stuff, and it was just not really that smart. So these days you can see that these things have evolved, So they actually like find the right targets, they understand which pulls are worth it and not. Obviously not as good as a player could, but on the other hand, this should also not fool yourself. This is a pushing scenario, this is not a farming scenario. And bots are typically not used for pushing, they are used for farming. And for farming, actually, there is probably a 98% chance that the bot is better than you. Obviously, depending on your experience and obviously depending on your build, if there's like really good scripts for it. But as I said earlier, the most popular builds have extremely good scripts, which makes it so that they are typically playing better than most of the players in the game. Even a player like me would have trouble beating a really good bot that just runs a solo GR like 120s all day, every day, with no breaks, with you know, insta sorting out loot, etc. Like, you know, things that just take time, like clicking and stuff in town and these kind of things that are all done instantly in a second by a bot. So obviously they have a bit of an advantage in that case, and as long as they clear the rifts in almost the same time, you will get insane amounts of XP. As far as I know, in season 24, from what I've heard, bots were actually getting something like 8 trillion, 10 trillion XP per hour or so. So this is yeah, roughly 0 to Paragon 1000 per hour. So this is also like kind of the reason why we see these extremely high Paragons these days. So while in the past it was actually quite reasonable to say that, okay, a bot can never really do anything close to what a player can do, a few years have passed since then, and we can definitely see that the things have changed a little bit. So the advantage has become much bigger these days, and this also means that the measures to fight against it have to like just become more intense to keep the integrity of the game and the leaderboards a little bit more intact, and not incentivize people to not play the game anymore. Personally, of course, I would not recommend this to everyone, because what I know is that a lot of people that actually do this, they essentially just quit very fast because they kind of lose the entire incentive to play the game in general. So you just, you know, wake up in the morning with more XP and more loot than before, and obviously it just takes away the entire like feedback loop that actually makes the game worth playing, which is, you know, having fun of, you know, growing your character, getting better loot, and, you know, pushing leaderboards. And if all this is automated, then there's not really any point. So this is my 2 cents about this topic. Hope that more is being done, especially like ban waves, I guess, are a quite useful tool to get rid of some of them here and there, but also maybe some more long-term changes to the game, maybe to disincentivize boarding or just make it less efficient in some ways. There would probably be some changes that could be done that would just not really allow people to do it so well. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Hope you enjoyed this little excursion into the mind of a machine, and I'll see you guys next time.